A storm gathers over a world that once believed a single man could do the impossible. For decades, crowds cheered his name, films revolved around his frame, and stadiums erupted at the mere glimpse of his silhouette. Yet behind the glow of cameras and the roar of applause, something began to fracture. It was not loud at first. It was subtle, almost invisible, like a hairline crack along a monument that had stood untouched for years. But cracks, once they form, always spread. They deepen, they shift, and eventually, they bring down even the strongest stone. The first sign of collapse arrived not with a scandal or an accusation, but with a moment so quiet and so unexpected that it left audiences frozen in disbelief. At the 2025 Venice Film Festival, the world held its breath as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stepped onto the carpet. For 20 years, he had been defined by mass, power, and size. His shoulders, once as wide as door frames. His arms, once shaped like sculpted stone. His jawline, forever carved into the image of a demigod. That night, the world saw none of it. Instead, a slimmer figure emerged. Nearly 50 pounds of muscle had vanished. The boulder-like shoulders had softened. The tree-trunk arms had narrowed. Veins that once wrapped across his body like lightning bolts had disappeared completely. It was as if the man remembered by millions had been replaced by someone only vaguely resembling him. Camera flashes erupted. Whispers spread. Photographers stared through lenses, trying to make sense of the transformation. Fans online could not decide whether the images had been edited, distorted, or altered in some way. But no edit was needed. The change was real. The moment he appeared, the mystery began. People asked the question that hung like smoke over every headline. How does a man lose that much muscle that fast? It was a question that did not come from curiosity alone, but from unease. For years, he had been the living symbol of discipline, the embodiment of early mornings and late nights, the poster child for unbreakable routine. And now, almost overnight, the symbol had shattered. The transformation was more than physical. It was the ignition of a global suspicion, the kind that crawls through every corner of the internet, sparks debate between experts, and spreads through fan communities like wildfire. His weight loss did not simply provoke interest. It triggered doubt. It triggered investigation. It triggered the unraveling of a carefully crafted image that had remained untouched for 2 decades. Something felt wrong. Something felt hidden. Something felt like it was finally slipping into the light. And for the first time in his career, the world looked at Dwayne Johnson not with awe, but with uncertainty. The man once believed to be untouchable now stood at the center of a mystery he could no longer control, long before movie sets, global premieres, and record-breaking paychecks. Dwayne Johnson crafted the foundation of his empire inside a wrestling ring. Under bright lights and the chants of thousands, he built a persona that felt larger than life. He was not simply another performer. He became the blueprint for the perfect modern hero. His eyebrows raised in defiance, his voice boomed with confidence, and his physical presence dominated every arena he stepped into. Audiences felt as if they were witnessing a myth take shape in real time. When he transitioned from wrestling to Hollywood, his identity followed him. Every role he accepted seemed designed to enhance the legend. He became the unstoppable agent, the ancient warrior, the demigod brought to life. Directors framed shots around his torso. Costumes emphasized his mass. Marketing campaigns highlighted his size as if it were part of the special effects department. Films like Hercules, San Andreas, and Fast and Furious did not simply cast him for talent. They cast him to sell the idea that he was the strongest man on screen, the one figure whose presence alone could anchor a blockbuster, alongside the characters he played. He built a lifestyle brand that followed the same pattern. Fans were invited into his gym sessions, which he called the Iron Paradise. They watched videos of him lifting enormous weights with sweat pouring from his forehead in slow motion. They listened to speeches about dedication, consistency, and early morning training. Every message he delivered reinforced a simple idea: success requires effort, not excuses. And he presented himself as proof. Then came the legendary cheat meals. Towers of pancakes stacked higher than any breakfast table needed. Plates of sushi large enough to feed entire groups. Cookies the size of steering wheels. These images spread across social media like trophies, attracting millions of likes and thousands of comments. They became symbols of his superhuman metabolism, signs that his physique was powered by both discipline and indulgence. Fans admired him. They trusted him. They believed he was the real-life example of what hard work could achieve. That belief is what fueled his rise. He became the motivational figure that millions looked to whenever they needed inspiration. Many repeated his phrases. Many followed his routines. Many watched his films not for the plot, but to see the man they considered a living monument of effort and excellence. Everything about his public image reinforced the story that he had built himself through sweat and perseverance. Yet there was something fragile about this construction. His entire brand depended on one thing: his body. If that changed, even slightly, the foundation of his myth would begin to crack. Because if the man who claimed to be the embodiment of discipline suddenly revealed a different truth, every message he had ever delivered would be up for debate. And when he walked into the Venice Film Festival with 50 fewer pounds of muscle, that debate began. People did not question the performance of an actor. They questioned the legacy of a symbol. They questioned whether the person they had admired for decades had been telling the truth all along. The larger-than-life image that had once felt invincible now stood vulnerable, exposed, and ready to be scrutinized. The brand he built was powerful, but it was also delicate. And now, the world could finally see the cracks forming. When Dwayne Johnson appeared at the Venice Film Festival in 2025, the air shifted. Even among a sea of stars, red carpets, cameras, and flashing lights, the atmosphere changed the moment he stepped forward. There was no dramatic announcement, no staged reveal, no cinematic entrance designed to impress reporters. It was a simple walk, yet it held the impact of a storm. The world saw a completely different man from the one they had idolized for 2 decades. The first thing that struck viewers was the reduction in mass. His shoulders no longer formed the rounded, intimidating silhouette that defined his public presence. His chest had flattened, his arms had narrowed, and the veins that once snaked across his muscles like carved rivers had disappeared entirely. Even his jawline, once sculpted to perfection, appeared softer. Nothing about him resembled the myth the world had grown used to. Reporters whispered to one another. Some stared in confusion, others in disbelief. Photographers zoomed their lenses, convinced their eyes were deceiving them. Even those who admired his acting and personality had to pause. The transformation was not subtle. It was dramatic. Dramatic enough that it overshadowed every other event happening that night. Within minutes, social media erupted. Clips of his appearance spread without context, only showing his new frame. Fans compared images from previous years, lining up photographs side by side to measure the changes. Some insisted that he looked healthier. Others claimed he appeared tired, depleted, almost hollow. But one question echoed across every platform. How did this happen so fast? Actors have transformed for roles before. Christian Bale became skeletal. Hugh Jackman dehydrated himself for Wolverine. Matthew McConaughey lost so much weight, he looked ghostly. But those transformations had clear explanations. They had roles attached, interviews attached, public preparation attached. This transformation did not. What made the moment even more suspicious was the timeline. Just months earlier, he had posted videos of himself at peak size, training harder than ever, lifting weights that looked impossible for most people. Fans had watched him sweat through intense sessions, still carrying the mass that defined him. Then suddenly, it was gone. The festival should have been a celebration of his upcoming film. Instead, it became a public examination. Experts began analyzing his physique like detectives examining a crime scene. Fitness coaches drew diagrams, pointing out how certain muscles shrink when someone stops using specific substances. Doctors and commentators gave interviews explaining how sudden muscle loss is rarely the result of diet alone. Every hour that passed brought new theories, new speculation, and new doubt. This was no ordinary physical transformation. It was a revelation, one that hinted at years of secrecy now unraveling in real time. And the quiet, composed smile he offered on the carpet only added to the tension. It felt like the calm expression of someone who knew the storm had already begun. And no matter how he tried to move forward, the world was no longer looking at the man they once believed in. They were looking at a mystery they wanted to solve. And the more they looked, the more they questioned everything that had come before. The moment his Venice appearance hit worldwide screens, speculation surged like a tidal wave. It did not trickle in slowly. It exploded. Every corner of the internet buzzed with theories, predictions, accusations, and debates. For years, rumors about performance-enhancing substances had lingered in the background, always brushed aside by his charm, popularity, and relentless insistence that his body was built purely through discipline. But now, with the sudden vanishing of muscle mass, those rumors became louder than ever. Fitness influencers and coaches who had previously bitten their tongues began speaking openly. They compared old footage to new photos. They analyzed shoulder density, vascularity, arm thickness, and the overall aesthetic that had defined him. Many pointed out characteristics often seen in individuals cycling off heavy enhancement regimens. They spoke in a tone that suggested confirmation rather than speculation. One after another, experts came forward. Some explained how certain substances artificially maintain fullness in the muscles, how they affect water retention, how they create that unmistakable rounded look. When those substances stop, the body reacts quickly and dramatically. Others highlighted how the speed of Johnson's transformation did not align with natural weight loss. They emphasized that losing fat and water is common, but losing large amounts of muscle in such a short period is biologically improbable without an external trigger. The general public began piecing these claims together. Fans who had once defended him now found themselves unsure. They remembered his speeches about clean eating, his strict routines, his proud declarations of being natural. They remembered the motivational messages in which he insisted that his physique was the result of waking up early, training hard, and wanting success more than anyone else. And now they wondered whether those messages had been genuine or carefully crafted. Even major commentators, entertainers, and podcast hosts joined the conversation. They compared his physique from his wrestling days to his modern look. They noted how he had once appeared athletic and strong, but not impossibly massive. They pointed out that the shift from very muscular to superhumanly muscular aligned perfectly with the era when he insisted he was completely natural. As these conversations grew, credibility began to erode. Public reaction turned from speculation to disappointment. Many felt betrayed. They felt as though they had been sold a dream that was never achievable. They felt that the message he promoted for years no longer matched the truth his body revealed. Posts appeared from fans who tried to emulate his routines, only to now realize that the results he advertised were never possible without chemical assistance. As more experts weighed in, the illusion that had protected his reputation for so long began to fade. His message, once inspiring, now came across as misleading, and the sudden muscle loss became the physical evidence that triggered this shift. People no longer asked, "How did he get so big?" They asked, "Why did he hide the truth?" The transformation exposed something deeper than a change of size. It exposed the cracks in a brand built on perfection. In the final moments of this story, something becomes clear that no headline, no theory, and no expert commentary could ever fully explain. The downfall did not begin with a scandal. It did not begin with a leaked document or a public fight. It began with a mirror that reflected a man who could no longer keep up with the image he had created. For years, people believed in the myth because the myth gave them hope. It offered a blueprint for discipline, success, and transformation. But hope built on illusion can only last so long before the truth presses through like light breaking between cracks in a wall. As the world looked closer, the layers of fantasy peeled away. The larger-than-life figure who once seemed carved from stone became human, vulnerable, and undeniably real. And in that humanity, the illusion dissolved. What had been sold as authenticity revealed itself as performance. Muscles that once symbolized superhuman discipline now symbolized a story carefully maintained, protected, and polished for the cameras. When those muscles faded, the story faded with them. The weight loss became more than a transformation. It became a confession without words. It spoke of the pressures of maintaining an impossible standard. It spoke of the exhaustion of carrying a legend that no single person could sustain forever. It spoke of the cost of building an empire not on truth, but on expectation. And as the facade collapsed, fans realized something they had never allowed themselves to admit. The man they admired had never been the character he portrayed. There is a certain heartbreak that comes when a hero falls. Not because the hero failed, but because the audience realizes they were chasing something that was never real. The trust built over decades slipped away, not in a dramatic scandal, but in a quiet appearance on a red carpet where the man himself looked smaller, softer, and undeniably changed. In that moment, millions saw the truth standing before them. Not the titan, not the demigod, not the unstoppable warrior, just a man who could not carry the weight of his own myth any longer. The downfall of The Rock did not need courtroom drama or explosive revelations. It happened in silence. It happened when people finally asked the questions they had ignored for years. It happened when the truth, no longer able to hide behind mass and muscle, stepped forward to claim its place. The 50 pounds he lost were more than muscle. They were the armor that protected the illusion. Once they were gone, the illusion had nowhere left to hide. And now, what remains is not a villain, nor a monster, nor an enemy, but a reminder. A reminder that even the biggest stars are not invincible. A reminder that no brand can outrun reality forever. A reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, always finds its way to the surface. This is the final chapter of the story. A rise built on perfection, a collapse built on truth, a legend undone by the very image that made him famous. In the end, the downfall of The Rock is not about muscle. It is not about fame. It is not even about secrets. It is about the moment the world finally realized that the strongest man in Hollywood was not strong enough to escape the truth. And as the echoes of his legacy fade, one message remains. No matter how big the myth becomes, the truth is always bigger.